up, everyone? We are here in the Jurassic room, and welcome to episode 50 of Dinosaurs of the Week, where all of you, the fans, get to pick what is showcased in each week's episode. And it's awesome that we have now made it to 50 episodes in this series. It is absolutely incredible. And just like every week, I got a lot of awesome suggestions from all of you, and I'm going to be picking my 10 favorite for this video. So let's go ahead and check out what dinosaurs made this week's list. Alright, so to kick off this week's episode, we've got a suggestion here from Maria for a Jurassic World Dominion pyroaptor. So I chose the Jurassic World Dominion Extreme Damage pyroaptor because I think this is one of the best we got from the Dominion toy line. It's got a pretty good sculpt right here, as all of you guys can see, and not a terrible paint job for one of the cheaper figures, since I think this one was like $10 or $12. Nothing too crazy. Now when we look at the back of the box, we get a better look at our pyroaptor and its double-sided damage. So why don't we go ahead and check out that feature. Nothing too crazy, but you can click right here, and if you can see, it exposes some flesh there. Nothing too crazy to this feature, and it's honestly kind of hard to see with the way they sculpted this out, but overall, it's just still a pretty cool looking figure, and not a bad one to kick off this week's episode with. Alright, so now we got some Hammond collection right here, suggested from Stavarn, and this is the Hammond collection Scutosaurus, which is a very interesting species, and this is still one of the ones that I'm curious as to why it got a Hammond collection release before some other figures, but overall it is still really cool, so I'm not complaining about it. It's got a really pretty sculpt, as all of you can see, a not terrible paint job, and of course, really nice articulation, like the Hammond collection is known for. Then we get a little bit more of a look at our Scutosaurus on the side of the box, and then on the back of the box we get a real good look at our Scutosaurus, some different poses it can go into, and then of course its glass eye, like all of the Hammond collection figures are now famous for, to give it a little bit more realism. But overall, this is such an interesting species, and one that I did not expect to come to the Hammond collection, but I still think it is a welcomed addition because it is a cool little figure, and one that I am very happy to have in the collection. Now, the next suggestion we have right here is from General Burt for the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom Quest for Indominus Rex pack, and this thing is so huge I can barely even fit it on the camera, but we got some beautiful artwork on the front with our Mosasaurus, our Indominus Rex skeleton, and then of course our submarine, because it does come with all of that stuff. Now when we look at the back of the box, we get a little bit of a better look at everything. The exclusive Indominus Rex skeleton, we get a real feel Mosasaurus, and the submarine that comes with a figure, lights up, and even floats and submerges in the water, which is really, really cool of this set. But overall, this is one that became pretty rare and didn't get a huge distribution in the US. I think it was just at Target or Walmart for Black Friday years and years ago. So overall, this is a sweet set, and one that I'm extremely happy to have safe in the collection with me. Now we've got another Jurassic World Dominion suggestion right here from Simone, and this is the Jurassic World Dominion Thrash and Devour T-Rex. This was our big T-Rex figure that we got for the Jurassic World Dominion movie, and overall it is a pretty cool figure. It's got a decent sculpt. I kind of like how this T-Rex is thicker. It makes it look a little bit cooler, and the paint job on it and coloration is actually pretty nice, pretty reminiscent to the movie, or just how I would expect a T-Rex to look. Now when we look at the back of the box, we get a better look at our T-Rex, how it can thrash, chomp, and devour, which is pretty cool. So we can go ahead and check out some of those features. So first you would press this button here and get some sounds going, but it looks like the batteries are already dead. And then of course you can get the head moving around too, which is cool. So it's got some pretty cool features, and then of course you see the opening in the mouth. It can swallow different figures, which is pretty awesome. But overall, this is a decent T-Rex, not my favorite from the bigger ones we've gotten from Mattel, but still a pretty solid figure. Now, this next suggestion right here came from Captain Kaiju for the Jurassic World Chaos Theory Strike Attack herrerasaurus, and this is a pretty figure. I think this one is a repackage, or it may be slightly different from a herrerasaurus figure that we got in the past, but that's not too much of a complaint for me since I am a mitten box collector. But overall, this herrerasaurus has a pretty cool sculpt, nothing crazy on the paint job, just kind of solid here and a little bit of paint there, and these are just like solid colors. You can see it goes from one plastic dye to the next, and of course no paint on the claws or anything, but again, it is one of the cheaper figures, so it's not a big deal. Now when we look at the back of the box, we get a better look at our herrerasaurus and its head striking action. So we'll go ahead and check out that feature. We got a little button on the back that just gets the head going up and down, and then of course you can close the mouth yourself. So it's actually interesting. Normally when we get a strike attack, the mouth would go too, but this time it just gets the head bobbing, which again, not a big deal to me, but overall a pretty nice figure here. Nothing too special, but a fun one to look at for today's episode. Now we've got more Hammond collection right here, suggested by Poland Bread, and this time we got the Hammond collection concavenator from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And while this dinosaur didn't directly appear in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, there was a statue of it in the Lockwood estate, which is pretty cool, and I guess where they based this from. But overall, I know it's kind of hard to see, but this concavenator has a really cool sculpt, a pretty interesting paint job, and of course, really good articulation like the Hammond collection is known for. There we get another good look at our concavenator, and then on the back of the box we get a really big image of what our concavenator really looks like. I really like the sculpt. It's so interesting, and honestly the coloration with the lightish greenish blue along with the orange really looks sweet. It makes it look vibrant, but it also doesn't look unrealistic, so I do dig that about this figure. But overall, this is another really unique and interesting species that made it to the Hammond collection, and I'm all for more figures in the Hammond collection, so this one is awesome, and keep bringing them on, Mattel. Now we finally got a Jurassic World Rebirth suggestion here from Victor, and this is the brand new Strike Attack achillobator. I probably said that wrong, but again, what a sweet species. It looks like a velociraptor type of dinosaur, but I love the sculpt and all the feathering on it. This is one of my favorite of the smaller figures that we've gotten from Mattel in quite a while, and honestly the paint job's not so shabby either. I know we don't have the claws painted, but the paint does go down to here, and then we get this vibrant yellow paint on the tail feathers, which looks super sweet. Now when we look at the back of the box, we get a better look at our figure here and the head striking action. So we'll go ahead and check out that feature. All you gotta do is push that tail down and you get a little bit of head striking action, and the mouth actually goes too, unlike the herrerasaurus that we were looking at a few minutes ago. But overall, this is one of my favorite smaller figures in a while, and it may be my favorite small figure so far to come out of the Jurassic World Rebirth toy line. So for those reasons, I'm super happy to look at it in today's video. Now this next suggestion right here came from JC for the Jurassic Park 93 Classic Dennis Nedry Track and Chase Pack, and this one is super interesting, guys. First off, really cool artwork on the box, very 90s-esque, which is awesome, and we can see our raptor right here. Now here's some of the interesting stuff when we look at the back of the box. You see a better look at both the figures, you see the vehicle or the motorcycle and everything, but what's so interesting about this is two reasons. One, this raptor is reminiscent of the Jurassic Park 3 React Attack Alpha Velociraptor. The paint job is. I'm not sure why they went with a JP3 version. And then Nedry is buff, guys. Look at that. Since when did Nedry get buff? He was always chunky in the movies, so that is very interesting. But outside of that, this is a very fun set, and it's very nostalgic and 90s vibe, just like the rest of the 93 Classic line. So for those reasons, I really do like this set right here. Now we've got another new Jurassic World Rebirth toy to take a look at, suggested by Jurassic Abraham, and this is the Wild Roar Ankylosaurus, which is looking pretty nice. It is the same sculpt that we've gotten for the Ankylosaurus in the past, but we got a pretty unique paint job right here, which is looking cool. We've got a little bit of vibrant colors on the head and a little bit more muted colors through the body, but overall it makes this Ankylosaurus pretty awesome and striking at first glance. Now when we look at the back of the box, we get another good look at our Ankylosaurus and how you can control the attack. So we'll go ahead and check that out. So what you can do is twist the tail and get the head moving and sound effects. We'll look at that from the side as well. Very, very cool. And even though this is a repaint of the ankylosaurus sculpt that we got in the past, I do still think it's a really nice sculpt, and I think this paintway is pretty nice, so it makes it a welcome addition to my collection. And now the final suggestion for this week's episode comes from Sonic Squad. And by the way, happy belated birthday. But this recommendation is the Jurassic World Hammond Collection Stegosaurus, another new Hammond Collection figure, which is absolutely gorgeous. As all of you guys can see, the sculpt on this one is so good. The paint job is great as well. And of course, top-notch articulation like we always say with Hammond Collection. Look at that. On the side of the box, we get a little picture from the movie, and then on the back of the box we get a better look at our Stegosaurus and some of the different poses that you can create for it, and a look at that glass eye, which again is very well known for all the new Hammond Collection figures now to add a little bit more realism. And this one has the True Effects, which is premium details for enhanced realism, which they're adding into all the new Hammond Collection figures like the Spinosaurus as well. But overall, this is a great and necessary addition to the Hammond Collection and a perfect figure to finish off episode 50 this week's video. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Dinosaurs of the Week. Like I always say, if you are not featured in this week's episode and would like a chance to be featured in next week's episode, then be sure to let me know down in the comments below. Want to see more awesome Jurassic content? Then hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications so that you don't miss any of my content. Also, check me out on Instagram and join my Discord server for so much more Jurassic fun. The links to everything will be in the description below. Check out more awesome Jurassic videos here.